Well, welcome back to Community Capital. This is the celebratory 200th episode, which is pretty exciting. We have another great show for you in studio. Joining me today is Erica Ancel. She's the Director of Operations for Next Steps for Seniors. Erica, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having us today.
Absolutely. So, this is kind of wild. Adam just told me it was episode 200 before we started. So, it's I think we started this back in like 2021-ish, 2022. So, it's been a pretty long journey. So, it's pretty cool that you're episode 200.
It's amazing. It's exciting to be on a celebratory episode, especially talk about how we celebrate life.
Yeah, I love that. So let's get into what Next Steps for Seniors is, and then we'll talk a little about your role and how you fit into that puzzle.
Absolutely. So Next Steps for Seniors is a senior living referral and resource placement company. So what that really means to you and the general public is that we're here to help navigate the senior space with referrals, not only to medical facilities that we work with, that we have great reputations with, and that provide great services, but above and beyond that. Our resources span not only the senior network of assisted living and memory care, adult foster cares, independent living, as well as private duty home care, but we have a whole network of resources that we're able to refer to make sure that everybody is taken care of in the right way that they need.
It's like a travel agent for seniors.
Kind of, sort of, like a real estate agent, travel agent. I tend to say that I'm the plumber of the senior space. I have all the people.
Love it. So walk me through what led you into a career in this particular area.
I am super lucky to have grown up with 18 great aunts and great uncles.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm. I grew up with a set of grandparents. Grew up with a set of great-grandparents, as well as a very close-knit neighborhood Catholic Northern Macomb family. So neighborhood and community was always something that was super important. I had a whole entire career in retail where I was a manager. I was, supervising people on a sales floor. And when that company said I had to work Thanksgiving, I said, I don't want to do that. And then I signed up for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week into senior living. And I worked in senior living for about 8 years before I called Wendy and said, Wendy, I don't want to be in this role anymore. Can I come work with you? I could call them at any point and say, hey, this is what's going on. I have a bed that's open. This is the type of resident that we're looking for. And they'd send me a referral, but they'd also send me really hard referrals that I had to work on and make sure that we could fit and know that they were a good fit, because I never wanted to take somebody into my communities that we were unable to take care of. And I'll tell you how appreciative they were when I said, can't do it. My staff aren't ready for this. So when I decided to move into senior living referrals and placement, I called Wendy. She was my first phone call, because the reputation, the integrity, the stewardship that she had, and the adaptability that she was willing to do for every single client was bar none.
Very good. And so how long has Next Steps for Seniors been around?
So Next Steps for Seniors officially started in March of 2012, but it had been brewing for a couple of years. Wendy worked in the food space and had been going into senior livings, skilled nursing facilities. And instead of talking to the cooks and making sure that they were provided with the right food and the right nourishment, she really wanted to hear back from the residents, from the people that they were serving. And in that, she'd gotten to know several people that were, frequent flyers into skilled nursing facilities. And she'd go, hey, I think I found a place that might actually be a good fit for you. So it kind of morphed from being a food rep and serving the seniors more than just their nourishment. She wanted to make sure they had a great life. She was also very lucky to grow up with a good family and had a wonderful relationship with her grandparents. So to continue to serve that generation just meant the world to her.
That's great. And then how long have you been involved?
I have been with Wendy since December of 2021.
Okay.
So just about 4 years now.
Yeah, that's great. So in the 4 years, a little over 4 years that you've been there, what's one particular placement or story or journey that you've been a part of that you've really enjoyed?
I had a really hard one, and it came from Adult Protective Services about a week before Christmas, where a gentleman and several other people were in a unlicensed, non-state sanctioned community, and he and two other individuals needed help with placement. And I took that call on a Tuesday morning at 8 a.m., getting ready for work for the day, and I deployed. I went there, I saw him, I saw the other residents. I toured 5 different communities for those couple of families, and I helped get them placed by noon the next day. So a little over 24 hours, I deployed. I had another person with me. We were able to get them all placed. We went back to pick up their clothes, but I was able to help visit with them for the last 3 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So who makes that call when someone's like, hey, this particular facility is not licensed, not running? Like, how do you get that call?
So that call comes from Adult Protective Services more often than not.
Okay.
Or the state of Michigan themselves saying, hey, we need help. Not that we get calls often from the state of Michigan, but Adult Protective Services families may call. We are a resource. Obviously, we're listed online. You could Google senior living placement services. We're there, but we receive those phone calls from a multitude of different ways.
Got it. And then once they call you, they tell you, here's the criteria that we have, here's what we're looking for, and then you go and find an appropriate match.
Absolutely. But more often than not, we're getting phone calls from the families.
Got it.
So the families are calling in saying, hey, dad fell. He needs help. He can't go back home. Mom passed away. I don't know what to do. And it's a crisis.
Yeah. Yeah, that takes a special kind of person, right? Because that's crisis management. Like, you have to be the calm in that particular storm. And then you also have to find a solution and probably be able to, I don't want to say sell the solution, but like explain it in a way where they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. We're going to do that. Because it's a big life transition.
So what I like to say is that we don't make any decisions for our clients and for those individuals we serve, but we most certainly educate them on all of the options that are available. And we funnel down to who is going to be the best fit, not only for their care, not only financially, but socially. Giving somebody back purpose and having them supported emotionally go leaps and bounds for their recovery, but for their quality of life. And that's really what we do as a team, is take a look at the whole person instead of just their medical needs or where they're at financially, because there's so much more to that person than what they're currently suffering with.
Yeah, absolutely. And then how far does your reach go? So if someone calls you from Traverse City and looking for a placement, like, can you help them?
So I will say that we are able to cover the majority of the state of Michigan.
Okay.
We do have a higher concentration here in Southeast Michigan, but I'm helping a family in Kalamazoo this week.
Yeah.
So, and just recently we did have somebody in the Traverse City area that we were able to help and partner with and make sure that they were safe.
Okay. So just kind of describe for me your most ideal customer profile. Like, who's calling you? What exactly are they looking for? Just so listeners can get a sense of that.
So I will say that anybody who has a question about senior living or the senior scope should call, because whether I have an option for you or if one of our partners have an option for you, we may be able to connect you. We're here to be a resource. I would love to say that we just do placement, but we do more than that. Yeah. We're a resource company, and that is, we market ourselves to find out the most information, the best information, and the most educated information that we're able to. So if I don't have an answer and I can't help you, I may have somebody who may be able to be a better fit to assist you.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it's education first.
It's always education first and connecting with our individuals and advocate. So those are our 3 pillars: are educate, connect, and advocate.
And then if somebody is listening to this and they're in that situation, what is the best avenue for them to get a hold of you?
So there's a couple of different ways, and we're super excited about. You can call us directly. We answer our phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're in office from 9 to 5, but there's somebody who's always answering our phones. at 248-651-5010. You can text that phone number now, and we will live answer you, Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. Then you can also go on our website at nextsteps4seniors.com and put in an inquiry, and somebody will get back to you as soon as they're able.
Excellent. Well, is there anything else that you want people to know before we wrap up today?
Just that the senior space is a scary space, but there are so many different avenues. We love to educate, and I think we spoke about this earlier, that we have our own podcast that Wendy Jones, who is our owner, hosts every week. And there's just so much information about the senior space that not one podcast show can really focus on that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we just barely scratched the surface of all the things. And the reason being is every situation is so different and unique to that person. And there's different levels of care, assistance, autonomy, like all of that it's a variable for every single person.
Yes.
I'm sure no two placements are identical.
No two placements are identical. And my favorite saying is every situation is just as unique as every individual.
Absolutely. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that with us. And I hope the listeners will reach out if they do have a need. We certainly appreciate you being here today.
Thanks so much. Thank you for having me today.
All right, everybody, that's going to wrap up this week's edition of Community Capital. We certainly appreciate you watching. If you want to know more about our guest today, you can find that in the show notes. Apart from that, we will start off our 200 series next week with episode 201. Thank you so much for staying with us for the first 200. Certainly appreciate you watching. Catch you on the next one. Take care.